Hello and welcome. Tonight, the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, insists no law in the country forbids the prosecution of minors. The National Human Rights Commission Special Investigative Panel exonerates the Nigerian military of alleged human rights violations in the Northeast. And the NSIB and its partners recover the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder from the helicopter which crashed into the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Bonifanima in Rivers State.
On business news tonight, National Insurance Commission directs insurance companies to clear outstanding claims by the end of December. Hints of planned recapitalization of the industry.
On sports, Olympic champion Zhang Qinwen continues her breakthrough season with victory over Barbora Krejcikova to reach the final of the season-ending WTA finals.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, residents of Ruga, a settlement along Airport Road, Abuja, take to the streets to protest the demolition of their homes by the FCT administration.
And in international news from London, Donald Trump has named his campaign aide Susie Wiles as his White House Chief of Staff, the first of several big appointments expected in the coming days.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi has justified the treason charge that was instituted against the minors that participated in the recent End Bad Governance protest that was held across Nigeria. The AGF maintains that no law in the country forbade the prosecution of minors, adding that President Bola Tinubu's decision to terminate further proceedings on the case brought against the teenagers was purely on compassionate ground. The AGF, who spoke at an event in Abuja, also adds that there were suggestions that the minors should be tried at a family court.
If you look at what the facts in possession of the security agencies, you will marvel. But the president has come out to say, in spite of all this, I have children, I have grandchildren, if not great-grandchildren. And that was what motivated his largesse or his passion to release them and also enable them in some ways. So the credit goes to him for giving a compassionate consideration to the release, the treatment of the young chaps that were released. But let me seize this opportunity to clarify something. People were under the impression that because they are children, they are minors, all sorts of theories have come up. There is no law in this country which says a minor cannot be tried. And I've also heard, they should go to a family court. A study of the law and the constitution leaves you to no other conclusion that it is the Federal High Court that has jurisdiction in matters bordering on treason and allied matters. So the chapter is, but whatever the situation, the president has closed the chapter by his decision to have these young men released.
The National Human Rights Commission's investigative panel on human rights violation in counterinsurgency operations in northeast Nigeria has exonerated the Nigerian military of alleged human rights violations in that region. The seven-man panel, chaired by the former Supreme Court Judge Justice Abdul Aboki, investigated the allegations of human rights violations in the northeast, including violations labeled against the Nigerian military by Reuters news agency. Our correspondent Emanuela Ikele reports that Reuters had alleged that the military committed abuses like forced abortions on women, extrajudicial killings, among other things.
Rest in peace.
The panel was inaugurated in February 2023 by the National Human Rights Commission to look into allegations of human rights abuse against the military in the Northeast by Reuters, which includes forced abortions on women, torture, extrajudicial killings, among others. In its report, the panel described the allegations against the military as false.
The panel made its findings meticulously on each of the issues. And time will not permit us to go through them one after the other. But just for you to understand, I've already spoken about the abortion assault. For the abortion assault, the panel did not find evidence that the Nigerian Armed Forces committed a systematic, secret, or policy-driven abortion in the Northeast to the tune of 10,000 abortions.
The chairman of the panel, Justice Abdul Abuki, retired, spoke about how the independent investigation of the panel worked without any form of interference from the commission or any other government agency in the country.
It is to the credit of the panel members, the Secretariat, the National Human Rights Commission, and supporting partners today I can proudly assert that an extensive and thorough investigation based on justice and fairness has been achieved.
Receiving the report, the Executive Secretary of the Commission highlights the need for transparency in security operations in the country, as well as the need to protect citizens from impunity.
The NHRC is committed to ensuring that citizens of our Bisari community identified in this report receive compensation, and will continue to work with the military and Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and that of Borno State to ensure that justice is served. Never again shall these kind of atrocities go unaddressed.
Now that investigations are concluded and reports submitted, the next stage is implementation strategies across board to ensure such incidences never rear its head. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
The House Committee on Army is asking the leadership of the Nigerian Army to sustain the legacies of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, who died on Tuesday in Lagos. Speaking at the headquarters of the Nigerian Army in Abuja while on a condolence visit to the Acting Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, the chairman of the committee, Representative Aminu Balele, extolled the exemplary leadership of the late Chief of Army Staff. He also pledged the commitment of the House of Representatives to continuously support the Nigerian Army in order to effectively tackle all forms of security challenges bedeviling the country.
It's a bittersweet circumstances where we have to extend our congratulations to you and encourage you to continue where our late brothers led by Jack stopped and inject new ideas. The House is with you. House of Representatives are with you, 100%. Thank you. And whatever will make you to succeed, I assure you, will do it. Particularly on the question was the issue of budget deficit, which largely we know we are witnessing. We'll do our best 2025 to see that we shall we work hand in hand together to see that we make Nigeria great.
To politics now, the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, says the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has already pounced on Edo State to start making efforts over allegations of fraud by his administration, adding that rumors of his own impending arrest are also real. Mr. Obaseki believes the EFCC, who already have taken into their custody the Accountant General of the state, Julius Anelu, and the other signatories to state accounts, will be all over the state on Tuesday by November the 12th, when the inauguration of a new administration is set to take place. He was speaking at the PDP Edo State headquarters in Benin City, the state capital, where a caretaker committee led by the former chairman, Anthony Azebemi, was set up to pilot the affairs of the party till the election of the new state executives.
I've heard the same stories too. That people say they have multiple petitions which they are submitting to the FCC. And as we speak, we have all our signatories to the state accounts in the FCC. The state cannot function, so I've heard too. And I'm getting ready and prepared. No, I'm not aware of any matter that's on the investigation. But you know how things are. People have been talking in the press, right? They have petitions to submit, and there are people I know in Abuja who I believe are also working very hard to look for excuses to pounce on the state. They've already started pouncing on the state, so it's not going to be news if you find them all over the place on Tuesday. Well, you understand, this is politics. This is how they know how to play politics. Not serve the people, but deceive the people.
Still in Edo State, the governor, Godwin Obaseki, and the People's Democratic Party, the PDP governorship candidate, Atsuwe Ighodalo, have berated the All Progressives Congress, the APC, over their preparations ahead of the November 12 inauguration in the state. Mr. Obaseki says the APC have gone ahead with planning for that event without involving the state government, which should be in charge of the program. He adds that no invitation has been sent to him so far. On his part, Mr. Ighodalo maintains that Governor Obaseki's good works in the last 8 years are now being undone by the APC even before taking over power. They were both speaking at the inauguration of the caretaker committee for the PDP in Edo State, led by the former state chairman at the party secretariat.
It is, yes, they stole the mandate, but we have laws. Somebody has to be sworn in, right? Sworn into a government that already is existing, right? You just don't come from nowhere and start government. There's already government. There's a way things are done, isn't it? So you come, government of Edo State is inaugurating a new governor on Tuesday. Is that not? But what you are seeing now, all the posters, the government of Edo State is not involved. So it's crazy when people just behave the way they are behaving as if there are no laws in the country. It's really, I just sit down sometimes and I'm wondering, are we okay as a country? We are guided by the Constitution. We are guided by laws and precedents and procedures. So they are doing inauguration. I, as a governor, don't know. Not even being invited. So it's like they are starting a brand new state and a brand new government. To the progress he has made for our state. He has worked with the interest of the people of Edo State in his heart. He has worked with the love of the people of Edo State. And, data does not lie. If when you get somewhere, the GDP is $10 billion, and when you are going, the GDP is close to $35 billion, then you must have done many things right. You have all noticed that in the last few weeks, when lions and tigers have started taking over, we've seen the impact on the state. By 6:30 p.m., the state is like a graveyard. A month and a half ago, at 6:30 p.m., the life was just starting. So see the consequential damage to the night economy of the state and the consequential damage to our state. So we have to stay firm and we have to keep praying.
I've heard the same stories too. Some people say they have multiple petitions which they are submitting to the FCC. And as we speak, we have all our signatories to the state accounts in the FCC. The state cannot function, so I've heard too. So, and I'm getting ready and prepared for now.
In part two, after the break, political parties and candidates in Ondo State sign peace accord ahead of the 16th November governorship election in the state. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, insists no law in the country forbids the persecution of minors. The National Human Rights Commission Special Investigative Panel exonerates the Nigerian military of alleged human rights violations in the Northeast. And the NSIB and its partners recover the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder from the helicopter that crashed into the Atlantic Ocean in Rivers State. British High Commissioner Mr. Richard Montgomery believes that people of Nigerian descent have contributed immeasurably to the development of the United Kingdom. He stated this when he held a reception to mark the 76th birthday anniversary of the British monarch King Charles III in Abuja. The reception was attended by eminent Nigerians, including ministers, traditional rulers, and former military heads of state. General Yakubu Gowon. Our correspondent Gloria Umezuki reports.
A wide range of dignitaries from across the country, including business leaders, top government officials, lawmakers, traditional leaders, ambassadors, and other members of the diplomatic corps converged for a birthday reception in honor of the British monarch, King Charles III.
This is our national day, the equivalent of our national day in the diplomatic calendar, and it's an opportunity for us to bring people together to celebrate the role and the contribution of our head of state, King Charles III. But we're also here today to celebrate the people-to-people ties, which of course are huge between Nigeria and the United Kingdom in a whole range of areas, in the creative arts, in music, in sport, and various ways in which our trade and investment and security and defence and our foreign policy dialogue can be enhanced.
The annual celebration hosted by the British High Commission also has in attendance Nigeria's former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, as well as the Olu of Warri, among others.
I'm one of those that his mother invited and paid a state visit to the United Kingdom in 1973. And I remember the way we were received and the way we were treated at that visit. And of course, the relations between Nigeria and Britain has been very good, at least I know during my time.
When one considers the very interesting relationship Nigeria and the United Kingdom has always had, one can only look to the future with optimism, positive expectations. Obviously, there will be two strategically located countries in the world, and partnerships properly aligned, great things can come out of such a partnership.
The main event then kickstarts in earnest.
Today, we celebrate His Majesty's 76th birthday and his role as our head of state. And, while diplomats can negotiate formal agreements, the real strength of our partnership is in these broad and deep connections between people here in Nigeria and in the United Kingdom. The connections that actually everybody here tonight represents.
Only days ago, the UK Foreign Secretary visited Nigeria after assumption of office and signed a new strategic partnership with the government of Nigeria. A gesture both countries are confident will birth more gains for its citizens. From Abuja, Gloria Omezuke, Channels Television News.
President Bola Tinubu's recently appointed ministers have been asked to prioritize the administration's goals over personal interest. Speaking at the ongoing induction retreat for the new ministers, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. George Akume, stressed that the administration is committed to tackling poverty, enhancing security, driving economic diversification, and improving critical infrastructure. He advised the ministers to work together as a cohesive team to achieve these goals. The Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination, Mrs. Hadiza Usman, explains that the retreat is designed to provide the ministers with critical knowledge and fundamental and foundational understanding necessary to effectively assume their duties.
As ministers, our duties include upholding national cohesion and promoting peace for national unity and development. Furthermore, as custodians of public trust and stewards of national resources, I urge you to embrace transparency, accountability, and a culture of excellence in every decision you make. Your work should reflect a commitment to the values of integrity, diligence, and patriotism.
The expectations that will come out of this retreat will be an opportunity for honorable ministers to gain not only theoretical insight, but also practical strategies that you can apply immediately. By the end of the 2 days, each minister will be well equipped to 1, understand your ministerial role and align with the goals of the administration. 2, navigate the regulatory framework around finance and procurement processes confidently. 3, promote a culture of integrity within your ministry by upholding the highest standards of ethics and accountability.
The flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder from the Seeker Sky SK-76 helicopter, which crashed into the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Finima in Bonny in Rivers State, has now been recovered. The statement issued by the Director, Public Affairs and Family Assistance, Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, Mrs. Bimbo Ladiji, says the NSIB, in conjunction with partners, retrieved the FDR and CVR, commonly referred to as the aircraft black box, early this morning. Mrs. Oladeji, however, adds that as of today, 3 individuals remain unaccounted for, but that the long-term search efforts will continue in coordination with local and international partners. According to that statement, the device is crucial in helping investigators analyze flight performance and cockpit communications to determine the sequence of events leading up to that accident. The NSIB explains that the recovered recorder has been secured for transport to NSIB's data analysis lab, and it will undergo data extraction and analysis by the NSIB specialists to gain insight as to what led to that incident. A former military head of state and chairman of the National Peace Committee, retired General Abdulsalami Abubakar, has appealed to the candidates of political parties contesting in the Ondo state governorship election to accept the results of the election under the condition that it is credible, free and fair. General Abubakar was speaking in Akure, the Ondo state capital, and the signing of the peace accord ahead of the November 16 governorship election in the state.
The off-cycle governorship election in Ondo State is barely a week away, as the chairman of the National Peace Committee, former head of state, retired General Abdulsalami Abubakar, leads members of the group to Ondo State to sign the National Peace Accord. Stakeholders in the election, including candidates of political parties contesting, their chairman, police authorities, sign off on a commitment to a peaceful electoral process. The essence of the document is for all to agree to ensuring peace before, during, and after the election.
We are all here to witness the signing of the peace accord, to commit the gubernatorial candidates and their party chairmen to support peaceful and credible elections. I also urge the party leaders and candidates to accept the outcome of the elections as long as it is adjudged to be free, fair, and creditable.
INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu sticks to the theme of the day, which is the need for all to follow the path of peace.
For our part, I want to assure you that we have taken measures to address election day challenges, especially the perennial challenge of logistics. Over the last 4 days, I have engaged with our own officials, security agencies, and transport service providers here in Ondo State to assess our readiness and perfect our arrangements.
The police, on the other hand, acknowledge that they are expected to play a vital role as far as the provision of security is concerned.
The Nigerian Police Force is set for the governorship election in Ondo State with adequate preparations and measures in place for the success of the exercise in this regard. The police we deploy is available human and material resources and assets to secure the 18 local governments, 203 wards, 3,933 polling units of the state. A detailed operation order for the election has been prepared with adequate police personnel to be deployed.
APC candidate Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, who doubles as the Chief Security Officer of the state, commends the organizers of the peace accord. He expresses hope that the election will be peaceful.
Ondo State has been a peaceful state. It's because the people of this state, the citizens, have been cooperating with the government and also playing by the rule of the game. And that is why we have been enjoying this peace. So I believe the peace will be sustained during and after this election. So I want to therefore plead with all stakeholders to play by the rules of the game and stay true to the tenets of the peace accord that have just been signed.
Speaking on behalf of the political parties, the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC in Ondo State, pledges that the election will be peaceful.
On behalf of all registered political parties in Ondo State, I am assuring the good people of Ondo State and Nigeria in particular that this November 16 governorship election will be the best ever election ever conducted in the history of Nigeria.
The hope in all of this is that the accord signed here is not just a symbolic gesture, but a sincere agreement to shun unethical practices when the election begins.
Still ahead on the news at 10, National Insurance Commission direct companies to clear outstanding claims by the end of December, hints on planned recapitalization of the sector. And that's in business news. Please join us again. Back, we head over to Abuja studios now, where Malwe Ogun Yusuf is standing by to give us more on the news at 10. Hello, Malwe.
Hello, Anne. We'll start off with some dissent here in the city as a settlement. Residents of Roga, a settlement along Airport Road, have taken to the streets to protest the demolition of their homes by FCT Minister Mr. Nyesom Wike. The protesters, led by legal practitioner Mr. Deji Adeyanju, accused the FCT task force, known as Operation Sweep, of high-handed tactics that have left scores of residents homeless. Mr. Adeyanju expressed concern that the task force burned many houses and destroyed property worth millions of naira. He urged President Bola Tinubu to consider the plight of poor people who have been driven from their homes in Borno State and other northern states owing to the insecurity in the region. We're talking green energy now. Lafarge Africa PLC, a leading building solutions company, has launched its groundbreaking alternative fuel and raw material platform at the Mfamosing plant in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. The Chief Executive Officer of Lafarge Africa PLC explained that they're committed to reducing carbon footprint and promoting a circular economy that transforms waste into a valuable resource. He stated that the alternative fuel and raw material system marks a transformative shift in the operations of Lafarge Africa PLC towards sustainable energy use.
To commission the Lafarge Africa's Alternative Fuel and Materials Facility platform, the management and staff of the company, officials of the Cross River State government, and guests from far and wide are at the Mfamosing plant in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. The AFR platform offers opportunities for local businesses and individuals in waste collection, sorting and logistics, creating a chain of employment and fostering economic empowerment within the community. The significance of this project is emphasized by the GMD and CEO of Lafarge Africa, Mr. Lolu Alade Akinyemi, who also highlight the job opportunities as well as other positive impact of the project.
At Lafarge Africa PLC, we have long recognized that our industry future lies in sustainable innovation. We believe that we have to do our missions. The AFR platform is a crucial part of that commitment, allowing us to reduce CO2 emission by replacing conventional fuel with alternative sources and fostering a circular economy.
The Cross River Commissioner for Finance, Michael Odere, who is representing the governor, considers this milestone as a positive step towards environmental sustainability and regional economic development.
This project is a forward-thinking shift to alternative fuel sources, harnessing what was once waste to produce our carbon footprint and enhance energy efficiency. This is a powerful reminder, therefore, that sustainable energy is not just about efficiency, but about innovation, responsibility, and care for our environment.
Officials of Lafarge Africa PLC reiterate the company's commitment to reducing carbon footprint and promoting a circular economy that benefits not only the company but also the communities and the nation at large.
If you look at this environment in Calabar, one of the great things we are doing is to take the biomass they are producing, which before now they are burning, and turning it into energy.
The introduction of the alternative fuel and raw materials platform by Lafarge Africa PLC is one which has given room for waste to be converted to wealth across board.
In health matters, as part of efforts to ameliorate the problem posed by lower urinary tract symptoms or benign prostatic hyperplasia, generally known as prostate enlargement, a new product called Duostam tablets have been launched by Pharmacy Plus Limited, a pharmaceutical company in Nigeria. The new product launch was part of the 19th Annual National Conference of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria held in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital.
It's a gathering of members and other critical stakeholders at the prestigious Ibom Hall in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State for the 19th Annual National Conference of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Professor Ikenna Nabugu, a renowned consultant urologist at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, Enugu, in a lecture takes a look at the lower urinary tract symptoms, benign prostatic hyperplasia, generally known as prostate enlargement, which has remained a major health issue among aging men, an issue Duostam tablets seeks to resolve.
Prostate enlargement will cause symptoms simply because it prevents urine from flowing. It is established that use of alpha-1 blocker plus 5-alpha reductase inhibitor combination is effective in delaying need for surgery.
The lecture underscores the seriousness of men's health, which paves the way for the launch of Duostam tablets, the newest product in the market produced by Pharmacy Plus Limited.
One of the things we are trying to also drive here is that we're providing a product that is easily affordable for the Nigerian populace. Understanding the situation of the country today, a lot of people are unable to access treatment of this disease. But with Duostam, that problem is solved. We're providing that access to treatment at an affordable rate.
The CEO of Pharmacy Plus Limited speaks on the uniqueness of the Duostam product.
Duostam is a combination therapy used in the management of BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. And for a product that is used in the management of a chronic condition, you must have to try as much as possible to make it as safe as possible because it's used daily in men that are down with this condition. So when you talk about safety, I can tell you that it's pretty safe.
With the launch of Duostam into the market, men can look forward to a healthy life without the frustrating experience associated with prostate enlargement, as the product is now available in leading pharmacies in Nigeria.
And that's it from Abuja. It's back now to you, Anne, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you very much, Markwe. And now, as part of efforts to other stories now, for 90 years, the British Council has been in Nigeria supporting peace and security and prosperity by building connections, understanding and trust between the United Kingdom and countries around the world. But the organization marks 80 years of its existence in Nigeria since it began work in 1943. The British Council in Lagos held a ceremony to celebrate this occasion of 80 years.
The British Council office on Thompson Avenue, Ikoyi, Lagos, bustling with activity more than usual as it welcomes guests, partners and employees to the celebration of its 80th anniversary in Nigeria. Guests take pictures with the British Council props on the grounds as visual artist Hanifa Adam Live paints portraits of Nigerian youths, portraying the theme for the celebration, amplifying voices of the future. Inside the hall is a formal welcome by the acting country director of the British Council, Chilufia Bessa, and an opening address by the deputy head of mission, FCDO, Simon Field.
Amplifying the voices of the future is especially fitting for our 80th anniversary in Nigeria for several reasons. But the most important of which is Nigeria has one of the youngest populations in the world, with nearly 70% of its population under the age of 30. By adopting this theme, we're indicating our commitment to empowering young people who are Nigeria's future leaders, creators, and innovators.
The creative industry, I'm sure we can all agree, has been identified as one of Nigeria's fastest growing sectors, and one of the fastest growing sectors globally. In the creative sector, the British Council has worked with hundreds of Nigerian artists and enabled collaboration with their British counterparts, helping to showcase Nigerian creativity across a global stage.
Years of groundbreaking discoveries and insights.
Poets Kehinde Adolo and King David Ayo Loto give special renditions, highlighting the British Council's work in Nigeria.
If you're going to make money from a thing, you have to have stake.
2 fireside chats laden with business patrons and government officials discuss financial freedom in the present economy and how they overcame challenges in finding their purpose. Founded in 1934, the British Council is governed by a royal charter. It works in over 100 countries, promoting a wider knowledge of the United Kingdom and the English language, and encouraging cultural, scientific, technological, and educational cooperation with the United Kingdom.
Let's delve into the world of business now, where Dominic Iwewu is standing by to give us more.
Thank you, Anne. Welcome to Business News. The National Insurance Commission, NICOM, has directed all insurance companies to clear outstanding claims by December the 31st of this year. An official of NICOM, Mrs. Ebelechukwu Nwachukwu, who made this known to journalists, says the Commission will thoroughly monitor insurers' outstanding claims as its focus remains on the soundness of the insurance industry, measured by the ability to meet their obligations when due. She explained that the Commission wants operators to focus on implementing the 10-year strategic insurance plan to achieve industry objectives by 2027, and asked insurers to discuss recapitalization with their boards to prepare for future capital requirements. Global food price rose to an 18-month high in October, led by increases in vegetable oils and most other food staples, and that's according to the latest data from the Food and Agriculture Organization. A price index compiled by the UN agency today to track the most globally traded food commodities increased by 2% to 127.4 points last month, up from a reversed 124.9 points in September and 5.5% up from a year ago. The FAO says apart from meat, prices of all food categories rose, with vegetable oils jumping more than 7% from the previous month, supported by concerns over palm oil production. As banks continue to face hurdles in operating electronic channels, the Chief Executive Officer of Precise Financial System, Dr. Yele Okeremi, is asking regulators in the financial sector to wade in and protect the rights of customers. Dr. Okeremi, who was a guest on Business Morning, believes that customers should not lose funds due to the ongoing upgrade of core bank applications. Outside our borders, China has announced a 5-year package totaling 10 trillion yuan, or $1.4 trillion, to tackle local government debt problems, while signaling more economic support would come next year. The country's Minister of Finance, Lan Foan, told reporters on Friday that authorities plan to actively use the available deficit space that can be expanded next year. His comments came after the Standing Committee for China's Parliament, the National People's Congress, wrapped up a 5-day meeting that approved a proposal to allocate an additional 6 trillion yuan to increase the debt limits for local governments. Mr. Lan also said to reporters that the program takes effect this year and will run through the end of 2026 for around 2 trillion yuan a year. And back home to the stock markets, which maintained the previous gain recorded as investors extended bargain hunting activities. Willie Bunk has the details.
Welcome to the stock market report. It's the final trading day for the week, and the market does bear good news. The benchmark index closed about 1/3% today, and still bouncing up from Thursday's positive performance, pushing the index 97,000 points higher. And investors and traders at the NGX are taking advantage of the dip in most bellwether stocks like Aradel. The share price moved to gain about 44 naira today and emerged as one of the movers and shakers of today's session. And let's look at the oil and gas index now. We see that the gains in Aradel, but not just in Aradel, corn oil also pushed the index to hit a new 52-week high. And the banking sector is also netting positive gains here. We see a 0.17% gain, and stocks like Access Holdings and FBNH, doing their magic there. With FBN Holdings rights issue now on the market, we may say we might continue to see an uptrend in the stock price. And those are the highlights for today. Will Ibang signing out.
And that's it on business news. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. President-elect Donald Trump has named his campaign chief, Susie Wiles, as his chief of staff, making her the first female in the country's history to hold such an office. Mr. Trump, who nicknamed the 67-year-old Wiles as Ice Maiden, said that she helped him achieve one of the greatest political victories in American history. Here's Simon Puse with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Donald Trump has named his campaign aide Susie Wiles as his White House chief of staff, the first of several big appointments expected in the coming days.
Appreciation for Susie and Chris, that job you did. Susie, come here.
Mr. Trump referred to Wiles as the Ice Maiden in his victory speech, saying she is known as one of the most feared political operatives in the United States.
The Ice Maiden, we call her the Ice Maiden.
Earlier, President Joe Biden urged Americans to bring down the temperature following Mr. Trump's victory, vowing a peaceful and orderly transition and paying tribute to his vice president's campaign.
The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory, and I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve. Yesterday, I also spoke with Vice President Harris. She's been a partner and a public servant. She ran an inspiring campaign, and everyone got to see something that I've learned early on to respect so much, her character. She has a backbone like a ramrod. She has great character, true character. She gave her whole heart and effort, and she and her entire team should be proud of the campaign they ran.
Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin has congratulated Donald Trump on winning the election, praising him for showing courage when a gunman tried to assassinate him, and said Moscow was ready for dialogue with the Republican president-elect. In his first public remarks since Trump's win, Putin said Trump had acted like a real man during the assassination attempt on July the 14th. Mr. Putin added that Trump had been hounded by all sides in the tumultuous presidential election campaign, but said Trump's remarks about Ukraine and restoring relations with Russia deserved attention. Meanwhile, Putin ally Viktor Orban said the European Union needs to rethink its support for Ukraine following Donald Trump's victory. The Hungarian Prime Minister said that Europe cannot finance the war alone. Dutch and Israeli leaders have condemned attacks on Israelis in Amsterdam as the football club Maccabi Tel Aviv played in a Europa League match. At least 62 people were arrested, Dutch police say, and 5 people taken to hospital. Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof said he is horrified by the anti-Semitic attacks on Israeli civilians. A senior official at the COP29 climate change conference in Azerbaijan has appeared to have used his role to arrange a meeting to discuss potential fossil fuel deals.
Because the budget currently for the current year is planned.
A secret recording shows the chief executive of Azerbaijan's COP29 team, Ilnur Sultanov, discussing investment opportunities in the state oil and gas company with a man posing as a potential investor. A former head of the United Nations body responsible for the climate talks said the actions were completely unacceptable and a betrayal of the COP process. Azerbaijan climate officials haven't yet commented. Argentine authorities say 3 people have been charged following the death of the One Direction star Liam Payne. The singer died on the 16th of October after falling from the 3rd-floor balcony of a hotel in Buenos Aires. Argentina's National Criminal and Correctional Prosecutor's Office said one person who had been accompanying Mr. Payne is accused of abandonment of a person following a death. Buckingham Palace has announced that the Princess of Wales will attend remembrance events in London at the weekend. She will attend both the Sunday service at the Cenotaph and the Festival of Remembrance at the Royal Albert Hall on Saturday evening. The Princess has been gradually returning to public royal duties following her cancer treatment. And a construction worker has narrowly avoided being hit by a runaway vehicle in the United States. Dashcam footage released by the New York State Department of Transportation on November the 7th shows a truck crashing into a parked vehicle on the side of a New York interstate, narrowly missing a highway worker. No serious injuries were reported, according to the department. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Let's begin with the Nigeria Premier Football League, where 2 games will be decided this Saturday, March Day 11, at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City. Benin Insurance will host Kano Pillars, the Benin Arsenal, who are gunning for their 4th win of the season in 10 league games, are 11th on the table, while visiting Pillars are 8th on the log. Lobby Stars, who are rooted at the bottom of the league, will host Abia Warriors as the push for their 3rd win of the season. In the English Premier League, now Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola is facing what would be an unwanted managerial first if his team loses their 4th consecutive game when they play at Brighton tomorrow. City were eliminated from the League Cup by Tottenham Hotspur, suffered a shock 2-1 league loss at Bournemouth, and when they were thrashed 4-1 in the Champions League on Tuesday by Portuguese side Sporting Lisbon. Yet, the coach is optimistic the club can right the ship. And that's your Sport News tonight. I am Kelly Egigas. Back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, insisted no law in the country forbids the prosecution of minors. We also told you that the National Human Rights Commission Special Investigative Panel has exonerated the Nigerian military of alleged human rights violations in the northeastern region of the country. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Good night.